Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And just when things look set in stone for CDL 2022, a massive spanner gets thrown into the works. The Washington team may no longer be a thing. What's going to happen with this NRG Chicago spot? Does it affect the OpTic Envy merger? Certainly a lot of things to dive into today. Very much intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hitting the like button is the best thing you can do to help this channel reach more people. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Really helps out the channel, of course, on the verge of 20,000. Firstly, this from Dominate the Kid, Afro looking ready to go. Maybe London are going to do some sort of announcement in the coming days. But one team we were kind of expecting, okay, well, the OpTic Dallas announcement happened before, of course, Vanguard launches. Looks less and less likely at this point, to be honest, by the day, especially with this stuff starting to come out from the Washington side. So the rumored team was going to be that Washington are going to come in, they're going to call their team like Washington Demon Cats or something. They're going to buy that spot from NRG. So effectively, OpTic merging with Envy apparently and becoming OpTic Dallas, changing the Dallas Empire into OpTic Dallas, means that there's a spot free, right? The OpTic Chicago spot, currently owned by NRG, because that's the partnership that Hex did after the Immortal sale when he sold OpTic. It's honestly chaos what's happened in the COD scene in the last couple of years. If someone went into like a coma and they came back now, they'd be mind blown. But anyway, Hex partnered up with Andy Miller over at NRG to create Chicago Huntsmen, and then when he was able to get the OpTic branding back under his own control, when OpTic in Los Angeles, the Immortals group, they sold their spot on, and then well, they sold it to Hector, and then Hex was able to keep the OpTic branding and sell the actual spot on to Nature and LA Thieves. It's been chaos, see, I'm sure you can tell. But anyway, Chicago Huntsmen ceased to exist, but still, the spot was owned by NRG. Now Hex wants to divest from NRG effectively and move over with Envy to fund the OpTic team, and that means that NRG still own the spot. So, the rumor had it at least that, okay, they were going to sell it to Washington, the team was going to be Methods, it was going to be Paulex, TJ, and Vivid, and that was going to be their squad of 4. But that clearly is not the case anymore. Still a free agent for next year, says Paul. If any teams are still looking for one, I can use anything. If any challenger players want to get something started, let the kid know. So all of a sudden, seems like this team is up in the air. Now, of course, the initial thought was here, okay, like, are they just changing up the roster they want to go with? Can't speak on it much, but damn son, I'm heartbroken. I've been here before though, I'll figure it out. Appreciate the support. Really, as we're going to describe, really difficult situation for a lot of these guys that should have been on this Washington squad. That is, well, seemingly no longer the case. So anyway, as it continues, the flanks say, look, it appears the rumoured roster has changed, right? Is Paulex not going to be there anymore? And they're bringing someone else into their team. But as it transpires, it's not just a one individual change that is being made here. GJ drops the sad face. So all of a sudden it's like, okay, how exactly is this going down? And well, then Methods continues, of course, the big name player on that team, I suppose, at least in terms of, you know, Twitter following and reputation at the moment, you straight up cannot make it up. So, you know, very unclear exactly what was happening here. And well, then we actually get some information on the matter. This comes out from Unscripted. Now, Unscripted goes on to say, actually, I mean, we can look at it in this tweet actually here, in the reply, that it's the same source gave him this story that gave him the story that Crimsix was going to be joining the Subliners. I believe Unscripted was the first person to make that public, that it was going to be Crim moving to New York way back at the start of September, of course, long before it gets announced, even before Crone had made that public. So anyway, this apparently then is a pretty reliable source. Intel, Washington Esports Ventures is out of the CDL, will not be pursuing the vacant spot currently owned by NRG. The CDL is looking for a replacement. As things currently stand, there is a greater than 0% chance the league goes on with 11 teams this year. Just to continue on before we discuss this, Vivid, who would have been signing to that roster, will now be signing with their Mutineers. Currently unclear who will be replacing, but apparently Yeez, who's their substitute, maybe, well, apparently already has been released. So maybe Vivid's going to be joining their team. It's really tough to say, like, who he's going to join in the starting team here. It's honestly chaos. I'm sure that's a topic for another day. But, I mean, yeah, I guess their SMG line currently, they've got Havok over there, and they don't really, the rest of the team doesn't make too much sense. I guess Awakening was going to be the other SMG. So what they're planning to do then, maybe Dave Paddy steps down again, and then, like, I don't know, Awakening goes back to the flex. I'm not sure how you make it work. But obviously, like, I'm really sure a lot of people were saying anyway Florida should get Vivid. So now they've kind of been gifted the opportunity to do so. But still, this is the question mark that is raised. If Washington Esports Ventures is out, why is that the case? And well, as Mutineers say here, COD Twitter never sleeps. But well, this is Crone says Washington Esports Ventures is likely pulled out of the spot, and Florida targeting Vivid. vivid. So, as I say, why have they pulled out of this? Is it just that the CDL's too slow, it's too cumbersome, things were taking too long? They decided, no, I'm out of there. Because when Crone initially reported on this, he said there were two, I'm pretty sure like two groups interested in getting the spot from NRG. One of them being Washington, and then the other one was unnamed. So whether they'll be able to come in and get this spot, who knows? At the same time, this could be an issue with the actual NRG spot. Like, maybe something happens here behind the scenes with, like, I don't know, some legal stuff, I don't know, that means that Washington can't get the spot. Because you'd think if Washington are coming in here, they're about to get the deal done, they've got their team lined up, they've probably got some good idea who they want to have as their coaching staff, their management team, and then they just pull out of there. It's like, it just seems kind of a strange decision. Maybe they run into some sort of, hurdle that could not be overcome. And that's why some people are suggesting here it could be to 11 teams. Because I think if Washington just decided to get out of there, and another team, another ownership group, and clearly there are some ownership group interested, like Tim the Tatman and Complexity tried to make it work, Dr. Disrespect, for example, we'll have a look at that here in just a second, but also like the other venture that was potentially interested, right, like Cloud9 have shown interest, these organizations that probably could come in and swoop this spot up without too much difficulty. So the fact that it's even being discussed that we could be in an 11-team league makes me think that something's going on here with the NRG spot, which is kind of strange, because think about it from this perspective, right? You've got Hex, of course, who owns the OpTic Gaming branding, but does he own the rights to use the OpTic branding in the CDL? How easy is it for Hex just to go over to Envy and say, yeah, this is called OpTic now? Do NRG own the rights to be called OpTic? Like, how does that work, right? How do you figure that out? Is there something, because of course Hex is still technically a co-CEO for NRG, like, is there, well, let's say he departs from NRG as he is intending to, is there some sort of non-compete clause that comes into effect where he can't, like, compete against NRG, and therefore, like, I don't know what that really means, right? If NRG sell the spot, I'm not sure why that would be an issue if he's now part of Envy, but it just creates an awful lot of chaos. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but there certainly are some implications that NRG are now going to be, well, potentially saddled with this spot. What do? Can they sell it on? Is there an ownership group interested? Do these ownership groups actually want to pay the amount of money it would take, especially if they want to relocate, which apparently will cost them even more? And well, this is what Crone mentions as a possibility. If the Chicago spot isn't sold and NRG is forced to fill the roster for the season, Chicago Huntsmen 2.0, like, is that something they would do and bring back? Of course, Hex versus NRG would be a very interesting battle. If NRG was to keep the spot and not sell it on, would they do it anyway? Like, is there some sort of exception the CDL could come up with? But of course, we want absolute guarantees to not have 11 teams. That would be an absolute nightmare, and I don't really see how that would even work, right? How do you form a bracket with 11 teams? I don't know. It's just an awful look at all fronts if that's what goes through, and I wonder if we'll ever really find out exactly what caused this to collapse. But clearly it has, and as Jacob Wolf says, like it'll sell, he says, so he's pretty confident we're still going to get the 12 teams, someone's going to buy it up, but there may be some, I'm sure there is some serious chaos going on behind the scenes right now that has caused this. I don't think it's as simple as Washington just deciding, okay, yeah, actually we're not interested. I think there might be something else going on, and well, maybe some other teams are interested, right? Dr. Disrespect, Tim the Tatman, could they get involved here to make something happen? It's very difficult to say, but hopefully it works out for the best. But of course, it's really unfortunate for the guys, right, who are meant to be part of this team, and whoever was meant to be part of this organization, right, in terms of coaching staff, management staff, that was seemingly looking to get involved, and all of a sudden, they're no longer going to be part of the CDL. So this is kind of how it continues, right? As Austin Easmack says, we seriously cannot have 11 teams. Hopefully, either NRG runs it for now, or just straight up sells it. I had really high expectations for the Washington org. I hope they do come back for expansion if these reports are true. That's the thing, right? If they're interested in coming back and getting involved, then like, why would they pull out now, right? It's kind of a strange one. But as Crone says, like, zero chance Activision lets the league go ahead with 11 teams. It'll be sold, or NRG will have to field the roster. That's the thing, right? If NRG can't sell it, are the Activision just going to say, look, NRG, you've got the spot, you're going to have to field the roster, unlucky lads, like, crack on with it, try to figure something out. Now, of course, what that means in terms of who owns the rights right now, because we think Hex owns the rights to OpTic, but does he own the rights to OpTic within the CDL? Like, does NRG still technically own those rights to Chicago, or to OpTic Chicago, as of course is currently the roster under their control? So it's honestly chaos, and maybe NRG will have to come up with something, right, and just bring the Chicago Huntsmen back, or because they don't want to come up, they don't want to be saddled with this effort of making up a new brand and all this type of stuff. But I don't really know what's going to happen there. But that's the thing, like as Unscripted says, I just threw that in about the 11 team stuff because that's what I was told. I don't think so either. Seems to make sense that the team who owns the spot is responsible to field the team until it is sold. But But of course, that's a whole nother can of worms, as easymac says, because if NRG have to fill the spot, and now Hex is going to another team, like he's going to be competing against an organization that he was just a part of, is there any issues with that, like contractually? It's, I mean, man, the COD scene is just something else. Every time that things seem kind of rosy, moving in the right direction, we're going to have 12 teams, we're going to have some good squads, expansion coming next year, going back to LAN, just a massive spanner goes into the works. And well, as Edgar, this is rumored to be COD banner from a couple of years ago, says, like, they won't run it with only 11, so he reckons that there are going to be 12 teams, and it is going to be sold. But even this from the middle of October that he tweeted out, and he kind of puts the eyes emoji on after this was all going down, is the spot really worth 5 million more than LA, plus possibly a relocation fee? So apparently like $25 million was the entry fee. Now if you want to buy in, they're probably going to raise the price, right, just to show the current owners that it's actually a good investment, that their investment is going up in value. Then you might have to pay like another 2 million for a relocation fee. 32 mil is quite a lot. Now whether that's what turned Washington away with all the delays, I'm not really sure. But still, it's absolute chaos. As Crone says, I want the CDL and competitive COD to succeed, but every year there's some stupid stuff happening behind the scenes, and I'm sure there is again right now. I wonder if we'll ever find out exactly what was causing this, but I'll certainly do my best to keep you guys updated, as I'm sure more comes out over the coming days. Another question, of course, is, could it affect the OpTic Envy merger? Like, could it affect OpTic Dallas at all? I don't think so, but then again, it's not out of the question, right? If the NRG spot is up in question, then Hex is just leaving. Like, does he have everything good to go to join Envy and be perfectly fine in that sense? I don't know. It's really difficult to say. There's been some tweets coming out from Hastro that haven't really given any information about it, so I don't think it should necessarily affect the merger. But I mean, it's not out of the question, right? Like, who knows what's going on right now behind the scenes? It seems like wherever Hex goes at the moment, there's some chaos being left in the wake. But anyway, as the flanks say, like, this is one of the more difficult things about this whole situation. Methods, Vivid, TJ, Porlex, and even Yeez, right, from the Florida side, like getting effectively messed around and screwed over by this type of stuff. So honestly, remarkable to think about. As I say, I'll keep you guys updated with how things are progressing. But this I thought was kind of funny from Ravens on a more positive note. Paris must be loving these team rumors. Finally won't be the 12th best team in the league, as there won't even be 12 teams. I don't know how you do it with 11. There better be 12. I don't know who's going to come in here. I don't know what this means for how long these announcements are going to be delayed. But it's more chaos in the COD scene, right? Like, you've got to love it in a way. But it is kind of frustrating to see the league in this much of a shambles. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting the like button tells those YouTube overlords this is a good video. Other people like you should see it as well. And help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.
There's nothing. I mean, it never really was. What am I saying? I might be forced into a decision that I didn't want to make, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. If you guys couldn't tell by my vibe yesterday and today, that's